54 degrees in New York City. That's the price right there. Can you see that? $19 to see a movie. And the theater was as maybe they have home theaters that are bigger than this theater. Such a small little theater. I like little theaters like this. They call it intimate. And I actually wound up getting a popcorn and a beer. And that came out to $19. 19 for the movie, 19 for the beer and popcorn. Pretty expensive, I would argue. Very expensive. 99 is 18, carry the one. $38 to go see a movie that came out in 2018, and it's actually a remake of a Stanley Kubrick movie that came out in the 1950s. You know, I always there's some sort of police activity behind me. I always judge movies, like, especially sports movies. You know, if you're gonna make a sports movie and no one is like, you know, and there's all dry eyes, then you didn't do a good job. This movie did a good job. There wasn't tear flow, but it was watery buildup of the tears. It was an emotional connection. What was this actor's name? Michael Finn. He plays Mikey Flanagan from Brooklyn, a boxer. And the movie takes place in the 1980s. And it was kind of cool to when he went to a butcher and they had the prices of the ribeye. It was like $2.19 a pound for the ribeye. You're not gonna find ribeye for that price. So I thought the movie, I think the movie totally delivered. It to me, this movie was this was like an actor who likes a lot of dialogue. Because this actor, I looked at his filmography. I have seen none of his movies. I have seen none of the stuff, because, you know, I don't watch Broadway Empire on HBO. I never watched not one episode of that. He was in that. He's been in a ton of television, and I've never seen any of his movies, but the guy who starred in this, I put it in the thumbnail, Michael Flynn, something like that. Yeah, Michael Flynn. The guy is freaking amazing. He is able to deliver dialogue without a lot of editing. And then the director is another guy who I've never seen any of the stuff he's been in. But the director, he did such a great job. And let me just say this, the movie was done in black and white. That's me choking on a cough drop. So forgive me if it's loud. But I didn't want to be coughing over here. You know, I take a heart blood pressure medication, and it leads to coughing. And so the movie was, if I have to say phenomenal, then is there a better word than phenomenal? Award-winning? Amazing? It's like you got this guy, and it's called The Day of the Fight. He wakes up in the morning like he normally does, woken by his nightmares. And and when he looks over at the clock, he appears to be waking up minutes before the alarm goes off. So you knew there was a lot of pain. The mirror hasn't been in his place. The mirror hasn't been clean. He almost looked like a squatter from the Lower East Side back in the 90s. The place looked like a place that squatters would live in, but like squatters that were getting mail and would pay rent if you let them pay rent kind of squatter. And you could just see the pain in the room. The room almost looked like a set to a stage for like some sort of Hollywood rendition of this particular movie. Like this movie would do well as a play because it almost was done as if you felt like you were in some sort of set, and it wasn't a turn off. And then the way it was done in black and white, the whole entire movie was black and white. And you got this guy, he's an Irish guy from Brooklyn, who wakes up to his nightmares, which appears to be probably an everyday thing. And as we're going through the film, there's flashbacks of him in prison. There's flashbacks of an accident. There's flashbacks of his mother alone in the bed holding something in her hand. You couldn't really tell what it was until you knew what it was. And his thoughts of his father. And the scene is basically about a guy who was told by the doctors, listen, if you get hit in the head again, you ain't going to be able to box. And he gets a chance to box again, like for a title shot, because he was a champion, but then he had the accident where a child was killed. He did some prison time. Then he was told by the doctors he wouldn't be able to fight again. They were able to pull some sort of strings, and he gets the title shot. So the day before the title shot, or the day of the title shot, is when the movie starts. So we don't know any of the politics that happened with him getting a title shot. We don't know anything about the weigh-in. They always weigh the boxers in the day before. We know nothing of the weigh-in. We know nothing of these things. And what's happened is that we enter into the mindset of a man that's trying and searching for redemption. He goes to the mother of his child. Let's call her his baby mama. And he's an Irish guy, and she's some sort of Hispanic, maybe a Puerto Rican. She has his children. She's dealing with the drama of having a champion as her husband, and a bit of a liability as far as alcoholism and trauma from the father, trauma from the mother, who happened to be it was a suicide. The mom commits suicide when he's 12. The father is his trainer and berated him his whole life, and he confronts the father, and no confrontation to the father. He just basically he forgives his father without using the word "I forgive you." And the guy and the father's Joe Pesci, who happens to be one of the producers of the movie. And he takes all his money. He takes his mother's wedding ring. He gets $7,000 for it. Something that you really can't do. Like there's a saying that goes, "If you want me to show you how much you want me to show you how much a diamond is worth, try to sell it." You get pennies on the dollar, or you get micro pennies on the dollar. So he was able to, gather up almost $10,000, and he bets on himself. And then he goes to his priest, who was his childhood friend. He has a visit with the priest. He has a visit with his father. He has a visit with the baby mother. He has a visit with his daughter. He has a visit with the child who he was in the accident with. He goes to the gravesite to see, I'm thinking he's over there visiting his mother at his mother's tombstone, and it wasn't. It was the child, the 9-10-year-old child that he killed. And he's trying to make amends, and he's trying to do the right thing. and he puts a big bet on himself, $400,000 if he wins the bet. He was 40 to 1, and it was believable. The scenery, the train station, him just trying to make it to all these spots and still make it on time for the fight. And then I don't even think the movie needed to show the fight, but they showed the fight. And I was on the edge of my seat the whole fight. And it was done so brilliant. This director was able to really capture this moment. I kind of feel myself getting a little emotional just thinking about it. It was that good. You should take the opportunity and see this movie, and maybe even see the original one from the Stanley Kubrick film. It was done in the 50s, and the black and white aspects of the movie just brought it out, and just like to see this man talk to his father, who his father couldn't speak. His father suffering from some sort of Alzheimer's disease, where he's just sitting in a chair in an old folks' home, shaking, and he was able to convey his message. It reminded me of my mom. I thought about my mom sitting in the theater watching that, how, when my mom died, my mom's mom died, we were at the hospital, and I was doing something. I was a young man in my 20s, and I had went to the hospital to go see my grandmother, knowing that she was on her deathbed. And my mother, she comes out of the room where my grandmother was at, all flustered and just like, almost hyperventilating. And I was like, "Ma, you okay? What's going on? You all right?" And she said, "I told her everything. I told her how I felt. I told her everything." I told her everything. I told her how I felt. My mother was just so... These parents have a lot of power, These parents have tons of power over their children. And my mother bust out the room and she's like, I let her know everything how I felt. And what she did to me, and how she made me feel. I told her everything. This woman told this to my mother on her deathbed. I find out that her mother was already gone. And my mother had this conversation with her mother when her mother passed. She wasn't able to get that off her chest before she passed. But she did. Once she did pass, she found that strength. And I always thought about that. And this movie was like that. He was able to talk to his dad and tell his dad how he felt, and he told his dad like how he needed that dysfunction. How in order for him to be the fighter that he was, he relied and fell onto and leaned into that dysfunction that the father provided him. The violence, the ridicule, the self-deprecating that he did in order to succeed in life was something that was holding him in a chokehold, so to speak. And he was able to bust through that and have this great moment. He also had another great moment with the baby's mom, the child's mother. He was able to kind of break through with her, and before he leaves her, he hands her the note to the bookie. And the bookie just so happened to be an Hasidic Jew that was running a dry cleaners. And the pawn shop guy who took the ring, his mother's ring, and pawned it for him, was somebody that was working in a meat shop that took him around the back, up and down the stairs and around the corner to this section of the of the meat. It was like this movie showed you like some of the underworld of New York, the things that keep New York, or the things that keep any city moving. It's that underworld. It's like the underworld keeps us. It allows the dysfunction to function. And that's what this movie was truly about. And it was great. All the acting. One of the actors was his trainer, the guy, Bill Pullman, the one that's been in those TV shows, Anarchy and Blade and so many others. Oh my God, he reminds me of my friend Ray. My friend Ray, he's up there in Jersey in this, you go visit Ray and he's sitting behind his desk, and the whole time he's just bitching and moaning and yelling and screaming, and just like, it just shows, like, this movie just shows us what a true script we're in. I always make the reference that we're in some sort of script, and this script that we're in, I say there's possibly only 20 scripts, and it just varies according to income. How much money you make, your script is going to have its little nuances that are different, but for the most part, we're all reading from some sort of proverbial script. And this movie just showed us how we're all the same. The Irish guy with the Puerto Rican girl who has the baby becomes like somebody and becomes a hero, and then loses it all. And all the people that were in his life, we all know these people. He takes the baby mother to the pizzeria to have lunch, and the young girl who takes his order, he's like, how's your father? And she's like, he's all right. And he's like, he's hungover? She's like, yeah. It's like, we all know these people. These are our neighbors and our friends and our family. We're all living out these possibly 20 scripts. And we're just caught up in this pain, and we're in tremendous pain. And this movie was able to capture so much pain. Really well done. Really, really well done movie. The mom, she was talking about the daughter, and how the daughter, she's like, how you give up so much for your kids, and next thing you know, you become their enemies. And your whole existence is not to love on them anymore. It's just to win the fight, win the argument. We are truly all the same. And I love that about this movie. This movie shows how you're not alone in your pain. You're not alone. Maybe your father didn't sock you in your jaw and kick you down a flight of stairs, but that doesn't mean you didn't wish he would have done that instead of what he did do. You might not have hit that child in a drunken, stupor, going too fast, and you smack into somebody and victimize them, but yet what's it like to fall deep into a bottle, whether there's a white powdery substance in that bottle or a brown liquidy substance in that bottle. What's it like, the pain. Like, this movie was able to capture so much pain, and yet You didn't want to, you couldn't turn away. You just had to watch. And the guy, this actor, so good. So good. I loved it. It's done so well. So mature. So real. Captured the essence of the human. I recommend the movie. You should see it. It's really good. Magaro A, how you doing? Well, this name I can't pronounce. Jolly Efren. What up, dude? Hey, what's up? Say I love beer in a deep voice. This is from Eric. Okay. Let me see. Orlando Martinez from Mexico. Extended play. Big Elvis. Respect from Chicago. Respect to you as well. Tap the screen, y'all. There's 4 of you guys in here. Tap the screen twice. Give me the thumbs up. Drone. Yeah, we're not talking about the drones at the moment. Thank you, Dolph. Tap the screen. Tap the screen twice. Let me get that thumbs up. Okay. This is the part where I say goodbye. And I thank you for stopping in. Check the description if you want to donate. That's $ Elvis Rosenberg. I love you.